All right, welcome back to my channel, the #1 place for entrepreneurs to learn how to monetize their personal brand using social media and live a freedom lifestyle. Today, I'm going to talk to you about making money on Instagram, the elusive topic, sexy topic that everyone wants to learn about. But specifically today, we're going to be talking about this in the context of a few different very specific things. One of them is that we're going to be talking about actually how to make money on Instagram in a very organic way. So not pay to play, not paid ads, not buying bots, of course. If you're still buying bots in 2021, what are you even doing, right? We're going to be talking about making money on Instagram through your personal brand, and everything we're talking about today as well is going to be nothing that has to do with schemes or even affiliate marketing, which affiliate marketing is great, but we're talking about truly building your own brand online on Instagram, producing your own content, selling your own things, and being able to make all of that money and profit back to you. So it's gonna be a good one. So at the time of recording this right now, I have scaled my business to over $600,000 in a little bit over a year. And 90% of that, 90%, comes from Instagram. So I definitely know what I'm talking about here. This is how I got started. And all of it is really based off of my personal brand. And the coolest thing about personal branding is that you already have one. You have one too, right? There's nothing special that I have. We're just gonna talk about how to use that, how to monetize that, because that's the key here, right? If we wanna make money, if we wanna have a business, we have to monetize it. So I've also helped hundreds of women do this as well, all through these exact same ways, right? Of using your personal brand, learning how to leverage it, how to market it on social media, specifically Instagram, which in my personal opinion is really truly just the most fun and one of the best, but we're not gonna even go into that. But learning how to market your brand on social media and then monetize it and really build relationships with people. And one of the biggest pieces here that's gonna make the difference that we're gonna outline is the know, like, and trust factor. So I'm gonna go over the 3 different phases that we're going to need in order to turn our followers into clients. And then I'm gonna briefly go over my 7-step customer journey, because essentially all of this is, yes, building know, like, and trust with our audience. And there's so many amazing ways to be able to do that on Instagram, but it's not just that. We want to make 10K, but we don't want to make it hard, right? So in order to make sales easy, you need marketing, and you need marketing to actually take people along this customer journey to get to a point where the sales is a no-brainer. And so that is what we are diving into now. Now, quick note before we dive in, before you can really truly effectively execute all of these different strategies we're talking about today, you have to be clear and know your ideal client and your offers, because if not, you can use these strategies, but they're not going to land. They're not going to be effective. So make sure that you are crystal clear on your brand, your ideal client, and your offers. It's this unique trifecta, so that all of this can not only be done just what I am telling you, but so you can take this and use these strategies and methods on Instagram in a way that's going to be unique and impactful for your specific brand. And a little shameless plug here, if you are a new business owner and you don't yet have clear your brand or your ideal client or your offers or any of those systems and strategies to build a true business foundations, check out Laptop Lifestyle Bootcamp. It is my signature program for new entrepreneurs. So in the simplest terms, our goal here is to find people, suck them into our world, help them see our perspective and new insights about what we're trying to offer. Then we have to present them an offer, and then bam, they convert, right? If only it was that simple. But that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so the 3 phases that we're going to be looking at here are gonna be lead gen, nurture, and then convert, right? So if we look at a sales funnel on the side here, in the simplest form, right? We have to fill the top with leads. We've got to get people in front of us. And this is gonna be the biggest portion of our know, like, and trust factor as well, which is gonna pair up here, where simply if they don't know you exist, they can't buy from you, right? We know that, but that has to be the case. And so it's not only knowing you exist, this big portion here is also going to be getting to know you and knowing those brand associations about you. So not just that, oh, I've seen Amanda's name before, but oh yeah, Amanda Colby, business coach, Laptop Lifestyle. Yeah, I really am starting to know her. And we have to get to know someone. You have to know they exist before you can truly come to like them and be bought into them and their values and their mission and their story. And so that's where the second phase of our little funnel here, from lead gen to nurturing, that we're going to chat about. This is probably the biggest stage to take people from no to like. And there's so many different ways, which I'm absolutely going to give you guys some examples here, specifically on Instagram, that we can really move people along that journey, right? And get them to really like us and know us on a deeper level and be bought into and involved in like our lives and our brand and our business. And there's a lot of ways that we can nurture them and make sure that we're in front of them, make sure that we are really building relationships with them, which I'm going to get into as well. So the last portion here, we have know, like, and trust, is that after a while, and this can take some time, they're going to know you, they're going to really start to like you, but they have to trust you, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to hand over their money towards you. And so one of the biggest ways that we get people to trust us is by authoritative content, by educational content, by social proof, by allowing your audience to know that, like, hey, I know my stuff here. I can get you results. And so you have to earn that trust from your audience, which I think a lot of people, we know this, but they kind of like are, impatient. They hop online, they hop on Instagram, and 2 days later, they're like, oh my gosh, well, I don't have any clients. And sometimes it's not even that you're doing anything wrong, but unfortunately, sometimes we have to be a little bit patient to like gain that trust, right? But as long as we're keeping this in mind, lead gen, nurture, and then the point of converting, which is where they're going to trust us, this is how this really pairs up. So in order to fill the top of the funnel, and step number one, lead gen, we need to share captivating content, not just content that's like educational, this, that, like hooks people in, right? Because ideally, or most likely, these people that we're trying to get in are new, right? They're cold leads. They might not know who you are yet. And so we're trying to reach out and get new people in front of us. So we've got to captivate them in. One of the best ways to do this on Instagram is with hashtags so that you can get in front of new audiences. I personally really love collaboration. So like Instagram story swaps, doing lives with other people. And what happens when you do this is you're getting to dip into other audiences. And so by doing that, you're not just dipping into a cold audience like a hashtag, you're dipping into a trusted audience. It's not trust in you yet, but that audience trusts the person that you're collaborating with, right? So there's already this elevated sense of know, like, and trust for them to come off of. So many different ways that we can execute lead gen on Instagram. Now, the second point is nurture, and we're gonna do this in primarily two different ways. So with nurturing, we wanna use our content to very intentionally take them on a customer journey. And so what that means is we want to educate them, right? We want to connect with them through our content. All of this is going to nurture their minds. And if all of our content links together, it's not just individual posts, it's really truly going to, again, for the people that come back and follow you, it's going to nurture them to get to grow deeper with you, to start to see your perspective and to start to really like you too, right? Because it's not just educational content. We want this to be a mix of that connection piece, that emotional piece with your audience as well. Now, the second piece of nurture is going to be relationship building. Like, rule of thumb here, in order to be good at sales, in order to be good at business, like relationships and networking are so important. So on Instagram, what this looks like is the DMs. Like, seriously, y'all, I resisted on the DMs for like months starting my business. It goes down in the DM. We want to start to build relationships in the DMs. The reason this is so powerful is because it's not just like one to the masses, right? It's one-on-one. So really working on engagement tactics and getting in the DM so that you can build relationships. Now, little tip here, a little disclaimer, that does not mean let me have like 2 back and forth conversations and then pitch the person and get upset why they're not buying from me. That's not a real relationship. That's being impatient. So we need to actually be patient and build long-term relationships. This is gonna stack up on top of you. And again, y'all, I make 90% of my income through Instagram, through the DMs. I don't even do sales calls anymore. It happens in the DMs. And sometimes I will have people who follow me that I chat with for a year. And I continue to give to the relationship even though they haven't purchased from me yet, and they do purchase from you. So again, we're thinking long-term here, not getting desperate in the immediate gratification. So in this nurture phase, when we go back to the content piece, we want the content to be educational and authority building, because again, that's not only gonna nurture your audience and move them along the journey, but it's gonna start to build that trust factor. And then we also want our content to be incorporating things from our personal brand and our personal lives, because that's gonna really fill up the like factor. Now, the biggest tip with all of this is that you have to do it consistently. consistently. So you cannot just pop on, feel really good about this for a week and then drop off. You have to do it consistently. If you look on the screen here, you can see that over the past year, 2 years, I have been on my stories almost every single day. And sometimes it's not a whole little mini training like this, but I consistently show up on my stories, and 80% of the time, it's something valuable to my audience. And then almost every single day, there's at least a little nugget of personal aspects of me or my personality or my life to let them, continue to get to know me even better. Now, lastly, before we get to convert, you can also use Instagram to nurture your audience off of Instagram. So I did say that this video is all about making your first 10K on Instagram, but we use Instagram as a piece of the puzzle in our business. So one of the best things to do with Instagram is it's a great place for lead gen because it's this social platform that everyone's on. You're able to mix and mingle. So that's why it's so powerful. But we can use it in conjunction with other things, which specifically my next recommendation would be an email list, where then you can take people from your Instagram, get them onto your email list. And that's another really good way that you can nurture them. So ideally you'll have a freebie. They're going to opt in through you promoting it on Instagram, and then you're going to be able to nurture them either in segments on your email list or just from an automated email sequence. Okay, step number 3, convert. Like I said, at the bottom here, that know and like and trust factor, they have to build up. I always think of this like a meter. So it's like a battery meter, a thermometer meter, I don't know, like filling all the way up, and then it's like ding, sale. I don't know. Y'all will come to find I have weird analogies. But anyways, you have to convert people at the end of the funnel. And to be honest with y'all, there's no hack here. There is no hidden secret. It's sales. And what most people, why they're not seeing sales is because they're not selling. So when we want to convert our clients, you have to remember that everyone is finding you at different times and needing you at different times. So everyone's on their own customer journey at different points in your customer journey. So we have to be selling all of the time. What does this look like though on Instagram? It means CTAs, calls to action at the end of your captions that say, hey, if you really like this post about creating a freedom lifestyle and the first, 3 tips on starting a business, sign up for my business program, Laptop Lifestyle Bootcamp, right? Give them the call to action, invite them for the opportunity. This could mean a call to action on your stories, a poll on your stories where you can say, hey, are you interested? Yes or no? Then we can go DM those people. But you have to actually sell. You have to talk about your offer because people need to hear that more than once, and it's going to be the right time for one person when they heard it that day, but then next week it's going to be the right time that you sold and that another person heard it. So selling is truly just a part of running your business. And the last piece of converting on Instagram is going to be the DMs. You guys heard me say this before, but I am in my DMs all of the time. Now, before we were talking about building relationships in the DMs, and that's super important, right? Because that know, like, and trust factor has to build up first. But we can also sell in the DMs once we've established those relationships. And the number one key to selling effectively is to sell specifically. So you can hop into your DMs with someone that you have rapport with, that you've built a relationship, that they know you're not just there to cold pitch them, right? And if you have an offer that works for them, tell them. It really can be that simple. But you have to be okay with being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and being confident in your offer and your ideal client and all of that being in alignment. So last piece of all of this puzzle here is let's look at my 7-step customer journey and what this would look like as a quote unquote Instagram sales funnel. So the first step is awareness. And this is, you're going to start to see a lot of these parallels between know, like, and trust. And then of course the lead gen, the nurture, and the convert. So the first step is awareness. And what this might look like is someone seeing you tagged in someone else's stories, and then they click on your name and find your profile, right? So someone is going to find you, and hopefully they're going to start kind of digging around in your content. Now, step number 2 is identify. And this is typically when we look specifically at Instagram, where they're going to follow you and where they're going to actively remember who you are, not just like blindly follow you, but actively remember who you are. And the reason it's the step number 2 is called identify is because they're going to identify with something that you said, something in your bio, one of your pieces of content. It's going to hit home for them enough for them to, again, take an action and actually follow you, but also seek to come back to you. Now, step number 3 is consume. consume. And so this is now starting to build up the like factor a little bit beyond the know factor. And this is where on Instagram, where they're consuming your content, your stories on a pretty regular basis, but they're probably doing this pretty passively because the majority of our followers are like silent followers. They're not always like commenting like, yes, girl, like on all of our captions, right? So they're just consuming our content, but they're there and they are soaking up all of the, education and inspiration and all of the things that you are creating. So this is a really important like progression in the customer journey. Now, step number 4 is engage. So this is still building up that like factor where they're getting more comfortable with you and where they, again, get to this point of comfortability where they feel like, ooh, okay, like what she said resonated with me. Let me like comment on this one. Or maybe they reach out to you in the DMs and just say, hey, the story that you posted the other day, like that is so me, like that was so helpful. Thank you so much for that story, right? But they're gonna engage with you. And the difference between this is that they actually have to take an action to opt in. And so they're so much more engaged with you and your brand and your content, and they are definitely closer to a point of purchase. Step number 5 is nurture. And so this is where they're going to just continue getting nurtured, ideally by your content, if you're creating content strategically in a way that's gonna push your audience along. And the other ways that they are getting pushed along in this nurture phase is if you're also intentionally nurturing the relationship through the DMs, through engagement, through any one of those pieces. Now, the 6th step is going to be opting in. So they have to opt into you, right, before they can convert. So a lot of times this will be something like a freebie or like a next step where they're not just engaging, they're not just commenting like, yes, this was amazing, right? They're taking a further action and commitment towards you and your brand and actually opting in to what you provide. This is the first sign of trust because this really means that like you're expressing interest in you and your offers, and this is well beyond just knowing who you are and liking what you do. And step number 7 is going to be convert. This is the point of sale. This is where you gave a sales pitch on your stories and they said yes, where you had a caption, they said yes, right? But whatever it is, what this means is that they know you, they like you, they trust you, and they fully understand the value of your offer, and they fully trust that you are going to be able to be the person that's going to help them get results. So this is a lot that you have to be able to relate to them. And to be honest, I know people that have found me that had never seen me and they bought a $2,000, $3,000 program from me 2 days later, right? I also know people that it has taken a year. So keep in mind that everyone processes and makes decisions on their own, but it's our job to walk people through this customer journey, keeping in mind the know, like, and trust factors, because that is how you're going to make sales on Instagram. That is how you're going to make your first 10K. That is going to be how you make your first million. So if you guys have loved this video, I hope it was super, super helpful just to get you like excited and jazzed to go create content, go share those educational pieces, those personal pieces, and really start to know and connect with your audience. It is truly going to be so, so powerful for y'all. And I see this happen time and time again with my business and with my ideal clients' businesses, with my clients' businesses, all of that. So if you like this video, I'd love for you to comment below and share your Instagram so we can actually connect on Instagram. You can go ahead and find me at Amanda Colby, and don't be shy. Shoot me a DM. Let me know you found me from this video, that this video is helpful for you. I am in my DMs all day, every day. I walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Yep, that's what I'm looking for here. And in the meantime, while you are pulling up your phone to go friend me on Instagram, you can check out these other 2 videos on the side here to learn more about entrepreneurship, building your business, and getting inspired living the freedom lifestyle. I appreciate you guys so much for watching my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.